They just banned something that almost every traveler carries, and no one saw it coming. If you've got a flight booked anytime soon, you might already be breaking a rule you didn't even know existed. Because in 2025, TSA quietly changed the game. And now, even your perfectly normal travel gear could get you stopped at the checkpoint. So picture this. You finally made it to the airport. You're half awake, clutching your coffee like it's your only source of oxygen, trying to look alive enough to not draw attention. You toss your bag on the belt, walk through the scanner, and then beep. That sound every traveler dreads. A blue-gloved hand waves you over, and you're thinking, what did I even do? You didn't pack anything suspicious, right? Just the usual stuff: charger, deodorant, headphones, maybe that snack you forgot to eat last night. Except this time, TSA's screen flashes red for something you never imagined could cause trouble. This is the new reality of airport travel in 2025. TSA has updated its banned and restricted items list. And while most people were busy planning trips, the rules changed underneath them. Power banks, smart luggage, certain aerosols, even a few toiletry items, gone. The list reads like someone threw darts at a random catalog. But here's the thing. There's a logic behind it. A strange, overly cautious, government-style logic, but logic nonetheless. Let's start with the big one: batteries. If you travel often, you've definitely heard the warning about lithium batteries. Don't pack them in checked bags. Make sure they're under 100 watt-hours. It used to sound like technical jargon. Now it's serious business. In 2025, TSA partnered with FAA and a handful of airlines to crack down on any unregistered, unlabeled power source. That means your old portable charger, the one with no visible specs on the back, could get flagged. Doesn't matter if it's from a gas station or Amazon. If the agent can't confirm its watt hours, it's not flying with you. And yes, that includes those trendy smart suitcases with built-in chargers. Remember when they were the next big thing? They looked cool. Plug your phone right into your luggage handle, roll into the terminal like a tech god. Yeah, TSA hates those now. Unless the battery pack is removable, that suitcase isn't getting on the plane, because apparently one melted bag in a cargo hold is one too many. But that's not even the weird part. The weird part is how deep the rabbit hole goes. People have had items confiscated this year that used to be totally fine. A guy in Phoenix had his e-cigarette battery pulled apart because it resembled an ignition component. A woman in Denver lost her hair straightening brush because it had a lithium core with no shutoff switch. Another traveler in Atlanta got delayed because his electric toothbrush set off the AI scanner's heat signature alert. I wish that last one was a joke. It's not. See, TSA's new scanners are smarter than ever. In 2025, most major U.S. airports installed AI-assisted 3D imaging that doesn't just see shapes, it sees materials. It can detect density, composition, and heat retention. That's great for catching dangerous stuff, but it also means it sometimes thinks your perfectly innocent gadget is a miniature bomb. If your device looks unfamiliar, or it's packed too tightly with other electronics, the system flags it. You get pulled aside, your bag gets opened, and there goes your 5-minute security dream. And just when you thought batteries were the only headache, let's talk about liquids, the never-ending saga. You'd think, after decades of the 3.4-ounce rule, things would have simplified. But in 2025, TSA decided to get specific. Now, it's not just about size, it's about content. Certain types of aerosol sprays, even ones under the limit, are now banned due to pressurization risk. That includes some popular sunscreen mists, hairsprays, and disinfectant travel bottles. You can bring the lotion version, sure, but if it sprays and it's not explicitly labeled non-flammable, it's probably going in the trash bin at security. And deodorant? Same deal. Stick deodorants are fine. Gels, mists, and hybrid roll-ons, not so much. There's this odd gray area where TSA agents use discretion, which, in normal English, means you're rolling dice on whether your morning routine survives the checkpoint. Some travelers joke that TSA stands for throw stuff away, and on days like that, it's not far off. Now, there's one change that caught everyone off guard, and it's got frequent flyers both amused and annoyed. The personal devices policy. TSA recently began tightening scrutiny on Bluetooth trackers, like AirTags, tile trackers, or anything similar, not banned, but now flagged more often. Why? Because a few cases popped up where devices were being used for non-compliant tracking. Translation: people were hiding them in luggage or, worse, other passengers' bags. So now the system flags Bluetooth signals during screening. If an agent asks, "Do you have any active tracking devices?" Don't panic. They're not accusing you of espionage. They're just following the new checklist. Then there's food. Yes, food. TSA's new AI scanners are obsessed with textures, and peanut butter, jam, hummus, yogurt, or anything semi-solid now gets treated as a liquid. So when that agent tells you your hummus is over the limit, they're not joking. Peanut butter became the internet's favorite banned substance last year when TSA's official account tweeted, "Peanut butter is a liquid. You can't spread it." The comment section was chaos, but it stuck. And in 2025, they've doubled down. So yeah, you can bring a sandwich, just don't bring the jar. At this point, it feels like the rules are designed to keep you guessing. But beneath the absurdity, there's a method. 2025 marks the full rollout of TSA's Smart Gate initiative, a system that merges identity verification, baggage analytics, and AI-based safety protocols. It means your face, your bag, and your flight info all sync in real time. Great for security, terrible for spontaneity. The second something looks suspicious, you're flagged automatically. No human override, no quick explanation, just a flashing red screen and a lot of awkward eye contact. And speaking of awkward, let's talk about what happens when you actually get flagged. Travelers this year have reported longer secondary screenings, even for small items. One guy said TSA made him power on his electric shaver to prove it was what he claimed. Another had to dismantle a camera lens because the system misread it as a compressed gas cylinder. It's all part of this new verify before trust model. Basically, TSA doesn't take your word for anything anymore. Now, let's pause here, because it's easy to make TSA sound like villains. But the truth is, they're reacting to a bigger pattern. In the last few years, more incidents have involved portable electronics and counterfeit batteries than ever before. Cheap gadgets with bad wiring can short-circuit mid-flight, and at 35,000 feet, that's a nightmare scenario. So yeah, the paranoia makes sense, but it also means travelers have to evolve. You can't pack the way you used to. If you're flying this year, you've got to think like a minimalist engineer. Every battery must be labeled. Every charger must be visible. Pack electronics separately, don't bury them in clothes, and for the love of smooth travel, don't wrap cords tightly. They look like fuses on an X-ray. Keep your power banks in carry-on only. If you must bring spare batteries, tape the terminals or put them in a protective case. These tiny things save hours of headache. And here's something hardly anyone knows. TSA's AI actually learns from how you pack. Frequent travelers who keep consistent patterns, same layout, same bag, same item types, tend to pass through faster. The algorithm recognizes the signature of safe packing. Change it too often, and it resets your profile, which means more manual checks. So yeah, in 2025, even your packing habits matter. But the weirdest bans aren't always about safety. Sometimes they're about confusion. A woman in LAX had a small travel massager seized because the agent said it looked like a prohibited component. A father had his child's toy drone flagged for rotor blades exceeding 6 inches. Even a metal water bottle can set off alarms if it's vacuum sealed and opaque. TSA has become hypersensitive to anything they can't see through. So if you bring a thermos, open it before the belt. Trust me, you don't want to be explaining to a crowd why your coffee mug just got swabbed for explosives. And then, of course, there's perfume, the eternal heartbreaker of every overpacker. The rule hasn't changed, 100 milliliters max, but enforcement has. Scanners now detect liquid density, so decanted perfumes in unmarked bottles get flagged. If it doesn't have a label, it's suspicious. The irony? You can carry the same liquid volume as long as it's in its original container. So your fancy refillable atomizer? Yeah, TSA doesn't care that it's eco-friendly, it's still getting pulled. Now you might be wondering, what's next? What will TSA ban in 2026? Probably whatever we start loving in 2025. The pattern is simple. Technology advances, travelers adapt, TSA reacts. Smart glasses, AR headsets, foldable drones. The more connected our gadgets become, the more complicated flying will get. The future of travel might not just be about what fits in your bag, it'll be about what data your bag carries. But here's the thing most people miss. Beneath all the scanners, rules, and random confiscations, TSA isn't just about control. It's about psychology. They want predictability. Every rule, every ban, every checkpoint design, it's meant to create rhythm, to keep thousands of people moving in sync. The second something breaks that rhythm, alarms go off. That's why sometimes you'll get waved through with a laugh, and other times they'll tear your bag apart over a forgotten power cable. The system isn't perfect, it's reactive. So, what can you actually do to stay sane while flying in 2025? Simple. Don't assume anything. Read the updated guidelines before you pack. Take pictures of your electronics labels in case you need proof. Separate your gadgets, carry your batteries in clear pouches, and double-check your toiletries. And maybe, just maybe, leave that weird new travel gadget at home until you're sure it won't trigger a lecture about FAA-approved devices. At the end of the day, airports have always been a blend of order and chaos. You can't control the system, but you can outsmart it. Pack smarter, stay calm, and remember, TSA agents don't want your trip ruined. They just don't want to explain to a headline why your bag caught fire over Nebraska. So next time you're in line, watching shoes pile up in plastic bins and people argue about laptops, remember this moment. The rules are changing faster than the signs can keep up. What's allowed today might be banned next month. That's the dance of travel in 2025. Half patience, half preparation, and a whole lot of deep breathing. And maybe, after hearing all this, you'll check your bag one more time tonight. You'll take out that mystery power bank, swap that spray for a stick, maybe even ditch the Bluetooth tracker, because missing a flight over a $20 gadget? Not worth it. So yeah, before you travel anywhere this year, remember one thing, TSA isn't playing around anymore. 2025 is the year of smart scanners, stricter limits, and surprises you didn't see coming. But if you know what's banned, if you stay a step ahead, you'll breeze through security while everyone else scrambles to repack their lives on the floor. If this video saved you from getting your bag pulled or just made your next trip a little less stressful, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment with the weirdest thing you've ever seen TSA confiscate. Because trust me, there are stories out there that make this entire list look tame. And hey, the airport feels like any other, a blend of rushing footsteps, rolling luggage, and half-sipped coffees. You're moving through the security line, maybe a little sleepy, maybe distracted by the gate change on the screen ahead. And then it happens. A uniformed officer steps forward, eyes sharp. "I need to check your phone." Everything stops. Suddenly, what was just a regular trip turns into something else entirely. Your mind races. What's on that phone? Messages, old screenshots, a photo you forgot existed, a joke someone sent that might be misinterpreted. The air feels heavier. And even if there's nothing wrong on your phone, that doesn't mean you're safe. This scene is playing out in airports across the U.S. more often than most travelers realize. The digital gatekeepers aren't just scanning suitcases anymore. They're scanning lives. And if the contents of your phone raise even a hint of concern, your entire trip could spiral into hours of questioning, missed connections, or worse, denied entry. But here's the twist. Not all officers have the same authority. TSA agents, the ones you typically see at the security checkpoint, don't have the legal power to demand access to your phone. Their job focuses on physical threats, weapons, liquids, electronics. So if it's a TSA agent, you can legally say no. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, however, is a different story. CBP agents operate under entirely different rules. When you reach the customs site of travel, either leaving or entering the U.S., those agents can search your device without a warrant, without suspicion, and without needing to explain why. They can ask you to unlock it, they can make copies of your files, and they can scroll through anything that lives on or connects to that phone. Messages, photos, notes, even social media activity, and it's not rare. In just 1 year, CBP agents inspected more than 35,000 personal devices. That's not hardened criminals or international threats. That's regular travelers, students, business people, tourists, influencers, parents. Some were held for hours. Others had their visas revoked. Many walked away shaken, even though they had nothing to hide. So here's the deal. Your phone isn't just a device anymore. It's a digital identity. And that identity, it can either make your trip smooth or set off alarms. Let's break down the 5 types of content that can quietly trigger chaos. And more importantly, how to make sure you're not the next traveler stuck in a back room explaining a joke you didn't even write. Thing 1, old private messages. Most people don't think twice about what's sitting in their DM's texts from 2 years ago. Forgotten threads, inside jokes, arguments, even that one conversation from a night out you barely remember. But here's what happens at the border. Agents scroll, and they don't just skim, they analyze. Old messages are one of the biggest liabilities travelers face, not because they're criminal, but because they're easily misunderstood. Imagine a joke sent between friends that uses sarcasm. Now, imagine a customs officer reading that with zero context and a serious tone. What made your friend laugh could make an officer suspicious. And here's the thing. Even deleted messages aren't always gone. Forensic tools used by border security can recover data that's been deleted months prior. If they see mass deletion right before a flight, that can be a red flag by itself. It's not about what you removed, it's about why you removed it. There was a case in 2024 involving a Canadian tourist who had deleted a thread about politics, just casual venting in a group chat. But the deletions were recent, and that caught attention. The officers flagged it, held him for hours, and left a note in his travel record. Future trips? Delayed or denied. What does this mean for travelers? Don't wait until the night before your flight to clean your digital closet. Start early. Gradually remove old, unnecessary messages using secure deletion tools. Back up what you want to keep privately, and ensure the conversations that remain don't read like a script for a drama series. Thing 2, political or controversial content. Freedom of speech is real, but it doesn't always apply the same way when you're standing in front of a customs officer. That photo you reposted about a protest? The meme you shared mocking a political figure? The sarcastic tweet from 2022? All of it can be flagged as anti-American sentiment, and depending on who's reviewing, that label can escalate quickly. In Los Angeles, a Colombian influencer was held for 6 hours. Why? Her Instagram had memes criticizing immigration policy. No threats, no illegal posts, just humor. But that was enough. The issue here isn't legality, it's perception. Border officials are trained to detect potential threats, and sometimes digital behavior is misread through a lens of caution. Even private jokes in WhatsApp groups have triggered red flags. An innocent nickname, a GIF, or a one-liner sent during an election season, all of it can paint a digital portrait that's wildly different from who you actually are. Best move? Archive controversial content early. Don't purge everything at once. And remember, if it's not something you'd confidently explain to a federal officer in a tense room with a two-way mirror, it probably doesn't need to be on your travel device. Thing 3. Sensitive photos or party pics. It starts with a scroll, the photo album, the media cache. Officers check what's there, and they look for context. Photos from parties, nightlife, or even beach trips, when viewed without backstory, can create assumptions. A bottle in hand becomes evidence of alcohol use. A cloud of smoke? Suddenly suspicious. A group pose in a foreign city? Could be linked to risky behavior. In 2024, a Brazilian engineer was stopped in Miami. His phone had photos from a nuclear facility, not taken illegally, but related to his work. Yet the images seemed classified to the officers. He lost his connecting flight and was nearly denied his visa. And don't forget metadata. Timestamps, location tags, and facial recognition all help build a story, even if that story isn't accurate. One photo from a college protest, one image with a controversial background, one wild night in Vegas. These are moments most people keep for memory's sake. But to a customs officer, they're details in a profile being built in real time. Before traveling, clean out the photo gallery, back up what matters, then curate what stays. If a picture needs 5 minutes of explanation, it shouldn't be on the phone. Thing 4. Suspicious apps and hidden data. Some apps just raise eyebrows. Dating platforms, crypto wallets, messaging apps from foreign developers, even language learning tools have triggered suspicion, especially if they show unexpected usage patterns. It's not about what the app does, it's how it looks during an inspection. Apps like Signal or Telegram, known for encryption, are often viewed as hiding something, even if they're used for regular conversations. And hidden folders? Forget it. If officers discover apps used to lock photos or disguise files, they'll assume the worst. One traveler had a secure photo vault that contained nothing but memes. But the existence of that vault alone led to a 2-hour interrogation. They weren't concerned with what was inside. They were concerned with the intent to hide. The best approach? Wipe the slate early. Remove apps you won't need for travel. Keep your app list lean: transportation, accommodations, entertainment. If it's not essential, it's a risk. And yes, that includes junk apps, experimental downloads, or anything that requires a passcode just to open. The cleaner your interface, the fewer questions you'll face. Thing 5. Strange contacts and chat groups. Sometimes it's not even what you've said, it's who you're connected to. A man from Canada was held for 5 hours because a WhatsApp group called Lost Compass 420 triggered suspicion. It was a fantasy football league, but officers saw the number 420, linked it to marijuana, and began questioning him. Border agents look at contact names, group titles, even emojis. If a name looks odd, or worse, matches someone in a flagged database, you could find yourself having to explain relationships you barely remember. This goes deeper. A contact saved as plug might raise alarms, even if it just means go-to person for tech. Group chats named Resistance, Rebel Squad, or anything remotely edgy, risky. Clean your contact list before you pack. Leave only who matters. Delete group chats that no longer serve a purpose. Update names to be clear and professional. The goal isn't to hide anything, it's to avoid triggering misunderstandings. By now, it's clear. Traveling with a phone is no longer just about remembering the charger. That device is a digital reflection of everything: your habits, your conversations, your beliefs, and even your humor. And if it's not carefully managed, it can become the reason a trip is delayed, interrogated, or completely ruined. The smartest travelers, journalists, diplomats, business executives don't wait until the airport to think about privacy. They start preparing weeks in advance. 2 weeks before flying, the process begins with a secure backup. Whether it's Google Drive, iCloud, or Proton Drive, creating a complete encrypted copy of your phone ensures that nothing important is lost if the device is reset. This isn't just about storage, it's about peace of mind. With a full backup, the phone can be wiped clean and only essential apps and documents reinstalled. Think minimal. Keep what's necessary: your airline apps, hotel reservations, emergency contact info, and navigation tools. No need to travel with years of group chats, old selfies, or expired memes. Everything else can stay safely stored and off the radar. Some even take it a step further. They use a dedicated travel phone, a device set up just for the trip with no personal data, no sensitive connections, and no history that can be misinterpreted. For those without access to a second phone, setting up a guest profile or limited user mode on the device can serve a similar purpose. It creates a clean, controlled environment that looks professional and harmless. A few days before departure, security settings should be tightened. Disable automatic connections to Bluetooth and public Wi-Fi. Switch to permanent airplane mode while going through checkpoints. Log out of unnecessary accounts. Use a temporary email for reservations or travel communications, something that doesn't lead directly to your full digital footprint. And when it comes to handing over the device, know the rules. TSA can't demand access to your phone. CBP can, but that doesn't mean all rights disappear. Always ask who's requesting to search your phone. If it's CBP and you must comply, never speak your passcode out loud. Instead, write it down on paper and hand it over silently. This may seem small, but legally it protects against claims of voluntary surrender. If things get tense, the calmest move is the smartest. Ask for a lawyer before answering further. Request a receipt for anything taken. Document names, badge numbers, and times. Never sign a document without reading it fully, no matter the pressure. And once the trip is over, the job isn't done. Change passwords. Monitor your accounts. Consider a credit or identity monitoring tool if anything felt off during the inspection. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's protection. Because in today's world, a phone is more than a device. It's a digital passport, and if handled wrong, it can close borders faster than any document ever could. So here's the bottom line. TSA might not be looking through your phone, but border officers definitely can. And the consequences aren't hypothetical. Real people with real plans have lost flights, visas, and months of peace just because their devices weren't travel ready. This isn't about hiding anything illegal. It's about protecting what's personal from being twisted into something it's not. A screenshot from 2 years ago. A meme shared in a moment of stress. A contact name saved as a joke. These small things become huge when viewed through a lens of suspicion. What matters is this: preparation beats panic. Start 30 days before your trip. Slowly clean up your digital footprint. Don't do it all at once. That's a red flag. Back up the important stuff. Use encrypted folders for what's essential. Set up a temporary phone profile if needed. And when the time comes to fly, stay calm, stay smart, and stay in control of your device. No traveler should lose their freedom over a forgotten message or a harmless post. And no one deserves to feel helpless when their privacy is at risk. So if you're heading out soon, or even just planning a future trip, now's the time to get ready. Digital security is travel security. Privacy is power. And a clean phone could be the smartest carry-on you'll ever pack. Air travel has always been full of little rules. But in recent years, the list of what you can and can't bring through airport security has gotten longer, stranger, and at times, downright surprising. Every traveler knows the basics. No large bottles of liquids, no sharp objects, no explosives, obviously. But the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, has been quietly updating its banned items list in 2025, and some of the changes might catch you completely off guard. Imagine packing your bags, heading to the airport, and being stopped in line because of something you thought was completely harmless, something you never imagined would land on the banned list. That's happening right now, and if you're not aware, it could cost you your belongings, your time, or even your trip. Today, we're going to dive deep into the latest TSA bans, the reasons behind them, the strangest stories of confiscated items, and what it all means for you the next time you travel. Because one thing is certain, getting caught at the airport with a banned item is not how you want to start your journey. Let's start with the obvious. TSA rules exist to protect passengers. That much we all agree on. But the complexity lies in how threats evolve. Over the years, everything from liquid explosives to disguised weapons has pushed security officials to adapt and expand the list. For example, do you remember when they banned full-size liquids after the 2006 transatlantic liquid bomb plot? Overnight, water bottles went from an afterthought to a symbol of airport security. That one incident changed how the world flies forever. Now, we're seeing another wave of changes, and the items being targeted range from the logical to the bizarre. Some bans make perfect sense once you hear the reasoning. Others, well, they'll just leave you scratching your head. One of the biggest categories in 2025's updated ban list is certain types of smart devices. We're talking about lithium battery-powered gadgets that don't meet updated safety standards. Power banks with exposed wiring, hoverboards, certain brands of e-cigarettes, all now explicitly banned from carry-on and in many cases from checked luggage too. Why? Fires. In the last few years, there have been dozens of reported incidents of these batteries overheating mid-flight, causing smoke in the cabin or triggering cargo alarms. Just one fire on a plane is enough to justify a strict crackdown. Imagine being the unlucky traveler whose cheap knockoff power bank sparks in the overhead bin. That's the kind of nightmare scenario TSA is trying to prevent. But technology isn't the only focus. Food items have quietly been added to the banned or restricted list, depending on how they're packed. Believe it or not, certain powders are now under tight scrutiny. Baby formula is fine if declared, but protein powders, powdered spices, and even ground coffee in large amounts can trigger red flags. TSA agents now routinely test powders for traces of explosives, and in some airports, large containers are banned outright unless sealed in original packaging. It's not that your cinnamon is dangerous. It's that finely ground powders can be used to conceal substances that are. Another surprising addition: alcohol of certain strengths. TSA has long banned carrying bottles of alcohol over 140 proof in both checked and carry-on luggage. But this year, enforcement has gotten stricter, and travelers report even duty-free bottles being confiscated if they don't meet labeling requirements. That homemade moonshine from your uncle's farm? Don't even think about packing it. It's not only flammable, it's an instant red flag. And speaking of alcohol, mini liquor bottles under 100 milliliters are still technically legal in carry-ons. But the TSA has been cracking down on passengers trying to sneak extra bottles through, especially those who plan to self-serve during flights. Federal regulations forbid consuming your own alcohol on board, and people breaking that rule are now facing hefty fines. Now let's move to the stranger side of banned items. Did you know that peanut butter was recently classified as a liquid? Yes. According to TSA guidelines, if you can spread it, pour it, or pump it, it counts as a liquid or gel. That means your jar of Jif or Nutella is subject to the same 3.4-ounce rule as shampoo. Countless travelers have had jars of peanut butter tossed out at security checkpoints because they didn't realize the rule applied. Similarly, cream cheese, hummus, and even frosting have been caught in this category. It may seem absurd, but in the eyes of airport security, it's all about consistency and potential misuse. Weapons disguised as everyday objects have also driven new bans. Items like credit card knives, tactical pens, and even self-defense keychains shaped like cat ears are being confiscated daily. Many passengers argue, but it's just for protection. The problem is, these objects can be turned into weapons, and in the tight quarters of an airplane, TSA isn't taking chances. Even novelty items like replica grenades, toy guns, or realistic-looking lighters are now under total prohibition. Countless travelers have learned the hard way that carrying a souvenir grenade-shaped paperweight or a realistic lighter can lead to lengthy delays, questioning, and missed flights. TSA officers don't have the luxury of assuming something is fake when it looks real. And here's one that might surprise pet owners. Certain types of pet food and chews are being stopped at checkpoints. Rawhide bones soaked in liquids or vacuum-sealed packs of wet pet food have triggered alarms in scanners. While dry kibble usually passes without issue, the TSA has flagged these items because the composition can sometimes mimic prohibited organic substances in X-ray images. For travelers relocating with pets or flying internationally, this has led to confusion and frustration. It's another reminder that if it's unusual, it's better to declare it before it's flagged. But beyond the lists and rules, let's talk about the experience. The stories coming out of airports show just how unprepared many travelers are. One woman recently had her expensive jar of organic almond butter tossed in the trash. A man had a brand new tool set confiscated because he forgot to check it. Entire boxes of Cuban cigars have been tossed because of both customs and TSA restrictions. And perhaps most shockingly, someone tried to carry through an entire samurai sword, insisting it was a family heirloom. Needless to say, it didn't make it past security. These examples may sound extreme, but they're real, and they highlight one truth. If there's even a question, TSA will err on the side of safety. So what's the takeaway for travelers? Awareness. The TSA doesn't ban items to inconvenience you, even though it can feel that way. Every addition to the list comes from real incidents, failed attempts, or intelligence suggesting potential misuse. The problem is, these rules often change quietly, without much public fanfare, leaving passengers blindsided. Your best defense is preparation, checking updated lists before you pack, asking questions if you're unsure, and when in doubt, leaving it behind. The few minutes you save by skipping research could cost you dearly at the checkpoint. But this conversation also raises a bigger issue about how we think of travel and security. On one hand, we all want safe skies, free from threats. On the other, nobody wants to feel like a criminal for packing hummus or having their grandmother's knitting needles confiscated. It's a delicate balance, and TSA agents themselves often bear the brunt of frustration from travelers who don't understand the rules. Next time you're in line, watching someone argue over their oversized shampoo bottle or their oversized jar of salsa, remember that these rules are designed to minimize risks in an environment where even a small oversight can have enormous consequences. And as security evolves, so too must we as travelers. Think of it less as losing convenience and more as adapting to a world where risks are always shifting. Yes, it means saying goodbye to certain comforts. Yes, it means double-checking your bags. And yes, sometimes it means throwing out perfectly good food. But the alternative, a lapse in security with hundreds of lives at stake, is far worse. So before your next trip, take a moment to look up what's newly banned. Rethink your packing habits, simplify where you can, and travel with the awareness that safety is a shared responsibility. Because while it's frustrating to part ways with a jar of peanut butter or a power bank, it's nothing compared to being the person who unknowingly puts an entire plane at risk. Don't get caught at the airport. Stay informed, stay prepared, and fly safe. One of the most fascinating parts of TSA's evolving banned list is how it intersects with culture and everyday life. Think about it. What's considered completely harmless in one country might be a red flag in another. For example, travelers from Asia have often been surprised to learn that items like dried meats, herbal medicines, or even certain types of tea are not only questioned, but sometimes outright banned when entering the US. The TSA doesn't just screen for security threats, they also enforce agricultural restrictions and federal import laws. That means your mother's homemade spice blend, which has traveled across generations, might end up in the trash bin because it resembles restricted organic matter. There's a sense of loss there, not just for the object itself, but for the connection to home it represents. Stories like these remind us that what's being filtered through security isn't just luggage, it's culture, identity, and personal history. Take another example, musical instruments. Many musicians travel with guitars, violins, or flutes, and while instruments themselves aren't banned, accessories like bow rosin, certain oils, or even strings with sharp ends can trigger alerts. There was a case of a violinist who nearly missed a performance because TSA agents debated whether her rosin counted as a flammable substance. These gray areas make the rules feel unpredictable, and for professionals whose livelihoods depend on carrying tools of their trade, it can be especially stressful. Then we have the rise of dual-use items, things that are perfectly innocent in everyday life but could be dangerous in the wrong context. Tools are the most obvious example: screwdrivers, wrenches, scissors. These aren't weapons in your garage, but on an airplane at 30,000 feet, they represent risk. TSA rules are designed around the what if. What if someone misused this object mid-flight? That's why even knitting needles have caused debates. Knitting needles. For some, that feels excessive. For others, it makes sense. Anything long and pointed in a pressurized cabin could become a problem. And let's not forget the bizarre smuggling attempts that keep security officers on high alert. Over the years, people have tried to sneak prohibited items in hollowed-out books, disguised soda cans, even prosthetic limbs. There are reports of knives hidden inside laptops, drugs sealed into peanut butter jars, and live animals. Yes, live animals being carried through in clothing or containers. TSA agents have discovered snakes in pillowcases, parrots tucked under hats, and once even a live cat inside a suitcase, detected only because of the X-ray machine. These stories sound absurd, but they underscore why the agency keeps expanding its list. Human creativity in smuggling knows no bounds. Travelers themselves often underestimate how seriously security takes intent versus appearance. A small pocket knife you forgot was clipped to your backpack might be innocent to you, but from a TSA officer's perspective, it's a potential weapon. The same goes for things like toy replicas. Parents traveling with children have seen toy guns, swords, or even Lego weapons confiscated because in a split-second scenario, TSA can't assume it's fake. If it looks real, it gets treated as real. This is why communication is so critical. Declaring questionable items, even if you think they're fine, gives you the best chance of keeping them, or at least avoiding suspicion. There's also the frustration factor. So many passengers argue their case at checkpoints, convinced the rules don't make sense. And to be fair, some of them don't. Why is peanut butter a liquid but solid cheese is fine? Why can you bring a pie through security but not a jar of jam? These inconsistencies make people roll their eyes. Yet the underlying logic is usually tied to how scanners detect materials, how substances can be concealed, or how they might be weaponized. It's not always about how we see the object, it's about how machines and risk assessments see it. But here's where things get interesting. The TSA isn't just reactive anymore, it's proactive. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into scanning technology, allowing machines to flag suspicious shapes, densities, or chemical signatures more accurately than humans alone. This means that even everyday items could be flagged in new ways if AI interprets them as a risk. Imagine your jar of protein powder being analyzed not just for weight, but for molecular composition. The future of travel security might not involve longer lists of banned items, but smarter machines that can interpret what's in your bag without opening it. Still, until those systems are perfected, bans remain the simplest, broadest way to reduce risk. For travelers, the emotional toll is real. Losing expensive items to confiscation stings, especially when it's something sentimental or irreplaceable. One passenger recalled bursting into tears after having her grandmother's handmade jam thrown out because it was in liquid form. Another spoke of losing a set of rare spices bought overseas, confiscated for looking suspicious on an X-ray. The sense of violation isn't just about money. It's about memories, meaning, and intent. To the traveler, these items are harmless. To TSA, they're unknowns. That clash creates a human story in every confiscation bin. And what about the impact on airports themselves? Believe it or not, tons of confiscated items are collected daily. Some get destroyed, others are donated, and some even end up sold at government surplus auctions. Yes, you can literally buy TSA confiscated goods in bulk, everything from pocket knives to sunglasses, unopened bottles of perfume, even musical instruments. It's an odd afterlife for items travelers never meant to part with, and it highlights how much gets left behind in the name of safety. At the heart of it all, though, is a paradox. The more secure we try to make flying, the more complicated travel becomes. Every new ban adds another layer of stress, another thing to remember, another chance to make a mistake. For frequent flyers, it's second nature to pack light, avoid risky items, and breeze through checkpoints. But for families, occasional travelers, or international visitors unfamiliar with TSA rules, the system feels like a minefield. That's why awareness matters more than ever, because avoiding the embarrassment of being stopped, questioned, or delayed isn't just about comfort. It's about respecting the invisible web of safety that keeps air travel running. So the next time you pack your bag, think carefully. That jar of peanut butter, leave it at home. That oversized power bank, double check its rating. That quirky souvenir shaped like a weapon, don't risk it. Air travel today demands mindfulness, and the TSA's new bans are a reminder that what seems small to us can mean everything in the context of shared safety. And ultimately, isn't a smooth, stress-free trip worth a little extra preparation? Airports in 2026 don't just look different, they work differently. The lines may look familiar, the signs might not have changed, but the rules completely overhauled. And for most travelers, the changes won't hit until they're already standing in a line, facing a scanner, and hearing the 4 words every flyer dreads. You'll need to check that. This isn't some minor policy tweak. This is a full-on reset. Governments, airlines, airport authorities, they've all gotten on the same page. What used to be a chaotic puzzle of local rules is now a single global system. The mission: efficiency and safety. The result? A maze of new tech, new limits, and a whole lot of people caught completely off guard. So let's decode what's really going on, not with dry instructions, but with the real-world insights that make or break your airport experience. Rule number 1, the carry-on size revolution. Let's start with the one that's already turning security lines into stress zones, the global carry-on size rule. For decades, airlines have had wildly different size restrictions for carry-ons. One airline said yes, another said no. Some had sizers, others just shrugged. Travelers squeezed bags into bins, hoping no one noticed. But in 2026, that chaotic guessing game ends. Every carry-on now must conform to one size, 22 by 14 by 9 inches. Or if you think in centimeters, that's 56 by 36 by 23 centimeters. Sounds simple, right? But here's the twist. Everything counts now. Wheels, handles, external pockets, even a slightly puffed out zipper. A bag that once passed easily now triggers a red light under new laser-based smart sizers. These aren't just metal cages anymore. They're motion tracking sensors that flag even a single centimeter over the limit. And yes, they're already being tested at major airports. Most shocking, over 60% of the carry-on bags sold before 2026 don't make the cut anymore. The trusted premium suitcase that's been around the world with you might not even make it past the kiosk now. And these scanners? They don't negotiate. No amount of pushing or pleading changes a red scan to green. So what actually helps? Measuring your bag at home with every feature included. Yes, even the handles and the wheels is now a must-do. And if you're buying a new suitcase, look for labels like 2026 carry-on compliant or cabin size guaranteed. Brands have already started adjusting their designs. The ones that haven't might as well slap a Gate Check Me tag on their bags now. Rule number 2, the weight crackdown hits hard. If the size update feels strict, the weight rule hits even harder. Because in 2026, airlines aren't just checking if your bag fits, they're weighing every ounce, and they're serious about it. The new global standard? Between 8 to 10 kilograms. That's roughly 17 to 22 pounds. Not too bad, until a laptop, sneakers, a toiletry bag, and a hoodie push you over the edge without even trying. Here's the thing. This isn't just a spot check anymore. Scales are now being integrated everywhere, at check-in kiosks, bag drops, and even at boarding gates. Set your bag down and the system weighs it automatically. Go even a little over and the options aren't fun. Unpack it on the spot, pay a hefty surprise fee, or gate check it with a bright red tag. The airlines have figured out something big. Carry-on weight equals fuel cost. And fuel cost equals more reasons to charge you. The upshot? Weight enforcement is the newest airline revenue stream. But savvy travelers are already adapting. A digital luggage scale costs less than $10 and saves a fortune in fees. They weigh their bags before leaving home, adjust as needed, and shift heavy items to what they're wearing instead, like jackets or boots. Pro tip? If something won't be used 3 times during a trip, leave it behind. That mindset is the new packing gold standard. Rule number 3, the personal item shrinkage. Next up is the silent killer of travel plans, personal item shrinkage. For years, people stretched the definition of personal item. Giant purses, overstuffed backpacks, mini duffels disguised as laptop sleeves, and airlines let it slide until overhead bins started bursting. Now, the hammers come down. In 2026, the new global personal item limit is 18 by 14 by 8 inches, or 45 by 35 by 20 centimeters. And this time, the bag must fully fit under the seat in front of you. Not kind of, not mostly, completely. Corners sticking out? Game over. The underseat space doesn't care what type of plane you're on either. Whether you're on a compact regional jet or a wide-body international route, the rule is the same. If it doesn't fit, it's not flying in the cabin. The solution? Ditch rigid bags. Go soft-sided. Flexible materials adjust better under pressure. And focus on organization. A well-compartmented bag holds more without bulging. And one golden rule remains. Keep essentials in your personal item. Passport, meds, valuables, headphones. That way, if the overhead bin war gets ugly and your carry-on is forced below, you're not left scrambling. Rule number 4, liquids, loophole closing, and opening. For nearly 20 years, the 3-1-1 rule, 3 ounces, 1 bag, 1 quart, has haunted every traveler. But in 2026, it's finally cracking. Thanks to next-gen CT scanner technology, some airports now allow full-size liquids. That's right, shampoo, lotion, and even big tubes of sunscreen can now stay in your bag, at least at certain airports. Major hubs like Atlanta, Dallas, and Heathrow have started rolling this out. No more frantic squeezing into tiny bottles. Sounds like a win, right? Well, yes and no. Because smaller airports, they're still enforcing the old rules, so a full-size bottle that gets through your departure gate could be tossed at your layover. It's a confusing patchwork that makes preparation key. The smart play? Pack defensively. Keep liquids in a clear, zippered pouch right at the top of your bag. If the airport allows them, no problem. If not, you're ready to comply fast, without unpacking everything. And want to really bypass the chaos? Go solid. Shampoo bars, solid deodorants, solid colognes, they don't count toward liquid limits, and they never leak. Also, check your departure and connecting airports' websites before your trip. Many now list which terminals use the updated scanners. That one step can save a lot of stress and a lot of expensive skincare. Rule number 5, electronics and battery backups. Power or problem? This one catches people off guard more than any other. Electronics must be able to power on. In 2026, security isn't just scanning your bag. It wants to see your devices working. If a phone, tablet, or laptop can't turn on when asked, it's flagged. Suspicious. Could be a dummy device. Could be a threat. Either way, it doesn't fly. And it doesn't stop at just working devices. Power banks, those portable battery chargers everyone travels with, now come with strict global standards based on one measurement: watt-hours. Here's the breakdown. Under 100 watt-hours, you're good. Between 100 and 160 needs airline approval. Over 160, completely banned. And most travelers never even check. They just toss it in their bag, then wonder why it's being pulled out at security. Always check the fine print on the power bank or the charger label. If it's worn off, take a photo ahead of time. It could save your whole trip. And there's a limit to how many electronic devices and batteries can be carried on board. Most airlines cap it around 15 to 20 battery-powered items, which sounds generous until they're counted. Phone, earbuds, smartwatch, tablet, laptop, Kindle, Bluetooth speaker, portable charger, camera, electric toothbrush, and suddenly, the limit's getting close. So here's what works in 2026. Charge everything the night before. Keep cables and power banks near the top of your bag. Be ready to show a working screen, And if it's not essential or doesn't hold charge anymore, leave it behind. In 2026, power is proof, and dead devices raise red flags. Rule number 6, smart luggage, genius or grounded. Those sleek, techie smart bags with built-in chargers and GPS tracking, super convenient, until they're banned. The rule is now simple. If the battery can't be removed, the bag can't fly. That might sound strict, but here's the backstory. Over the last few years, several mid-air emergencies were traced back to lithium-ion batteries embedded in luggage, smoke in cargo holds, fire risks, even emergency landings. Airlines took notice, and 2026 brought the clamp down. Now a smart suitcase must have a removable power unit. Removable doesn't mean buried under 3 zippers and a screwdriver. It means quick access, detachable, clearly labeled. At many airports, travelers are already being pulled aside and asked to show the battery. If it's welded in, the choices are brutal. Check the bag empty or leave it behind entirely. The best smart bags now come labeled with things like Airline Safe Battery Design or TSA Removable Power System. These are the designs that get the green light. Pop the battery out, place it in your carry-on, and you're set. No drama, no delays. Frequent flyers have it down to a routine. Check the battery charge, clean the connector, and test the removal before leaving the house. One 30-second check avoids a $300 headache at 5 a.m. In 2026, the smartest thing about smart luggage is knowing how to shut it down. Rule number 7, the overhead bin wars begin. And now for the part no one wants to talk about, because everyone's feeling it. Overhead bins are officially war zones. Why? Because planes are more crowded than ever. Airlines are squeezing in extra seats, reducing turnaround time, and boarding to the absolute max. More people on board means less bin space per person. The result? A stampede for overhead space the moment boarding begins. And it's not just annoying, it's strategic. If boarding late, even with a compliant carry-on, there might be nowhere to store it. Flight attendants then tag it, send it down the jet bridge, and check it in. Smart travelers already know. Board as soon as your group is called. Not after grabbing a coffee, not after a quick bathroom run. Every minute counts. Even smarter? Travel with someone and coordinate. Instead of both bringing full carry-ons, share one and use the second bag slot for 2 personal items. It cuts your bin space use in half and doubles the chances of your bag staying with you. And no matter how the overhead battle goes, the golden rule stands. Always keep essentials in your under-seat bag, meds, passport, laptop, chargers. If your bag gets gate-checked, your trip doesn't stop cold. In 2026, overhead bin space isn't just about convenience anymore. It's a resource, a race, a privilege, and the prepared traveler wins it while everyone else argues in the aisle. The bigger picture: airports as ecosystems. Here's the real story behind all these changes. It's not just about rules, it's about a complete transformation in how airports operate. 2026 is ushering in the era of airport ecosystems. Everything is tracked, scanned, logged. Every gram in a bag, every inch of luggage, every boarding pass scanned by facial recognition, every carry-on weighed by invisible scales. From the moment a traveler enters the terminal, the system sees everything, not in a dystopian way, but in the name of efficiency and safety. Self-service kiosks, biometric passports, real-time luggage tracking. Airports of 2026 are data hubs as much as travel hubs. And that means the best way to travel isn't about luck or smooth talk anymore. It's about preparation, strategy, awareness. Travelers who adapt to these new systems don't face friction, they glide. While others unpack at checkpoints, they're through the scanner. While others are arguing over liquid rules, their bags are already stowed. While others are being pulled aside for battery checks, they're halfway to the gate. Because the skies now favor the prepared. Final thoughts. The new definition of smart travel. 2026 isn't about traveling light anymore. It's about traveling smart, knowing the rules, anticipating the red flags, planning for the little surprises that cost big time. A tape measure and luggage scale are now travel essentials. So is double-checking battery wattage, knowing where your liquids are, understanding your personal item size, and most importantly, staying ahead of the system, not behind it. So, take this moment to audit your luggage, measure it, weigh it, power it on, test the removable battery, organize your essentials, and check the latest rules every single time you fly, because policies shift often and surprise fees are everywhere. If this helped decode the chaos of 2026's airport upgrades, it's time to pay it forward. Smash that subscribe button for more travel updates that actually make your life easier. Tap the bell icon to stay one step ahead of the next wave of changes. And in the comments, share which rule shocked you the most. Was it the weight limit, the liquid loophole, or the bins turning into battlegrounds? Let the community know, because when flyers help each other, everyone wins. Until next time, pack smart, travel light, and never get caught off guard again.